Science is all around us. Just about every activity we do can be broken down into some type of scientific equation, and cooking is no different. Your kitchen is a laboratory, and every time you make dinner, you are conducting a scientific experiment. Here, every ingredient is a component, and every recipe is a chemical equation for a delicious way to learn about the science of cooking. To help us conduct today's scientific experiment, we've invited Chef Paula from the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services to prepare a nutritious breakfast to start the day off right.
Now it's time to make the Fiesta scrambled eggs with ingredients grown right here, fresh from Florida. So first we're going to start by slicing the peppers. We've got a green pepper and a red pepper.
Now, take a moment and look at the peppers as Chef Paula chops them. This sounds like a good time to bring up physical and chemical changes. And it's the perfect time to bring back our good friend, Dr. Matt. He's a real scientist.
Matter can generally go through one of two types of changes, a physical change or a chemical change. If we consider cutting a bell pepper, the composition of the pepper isn't altered. It still has the same characteristics, the same color, the same texture, the same taste. The only difference might be the size or shape, which is a physical change. In a chemical change, the change occurs at the molecular level and can result in a different color, a different taste, or even a different smell.
Hey, did someone say pop quiz? Listen up, kids. I'll describe a process, and you'll tell me if it's a physical or chemical change. Ready? Let's begin. So if what Dr. Matt says is true, and it is because he's a real scientist, then as peppers ripen, they go through some type of change. But is it a physical or chemical change?
Since a ripening bell pepper can go from green to red,
That's a change in color.
and from bitter to sweet,
That's a change in taste.
then ripening is a chemical change.
Speaking of change, they also go up in price, but that's a different story.
Now, take a moment and look at the peppers as Chef Paula chops them. You've probably noticed that they're undergoing another change. But is it a physical or chemical change?
No matter how much you slice and dice a pepper, it still has the characteristics of a pepper.
It's the same color, has the same taste, and the same texture.
Nothing new has been created.
So, slicing and dicing is a physical change.
Sounds good to me. Let's heat the sauté pan.
Look at the butter as it goes through a couple of changes. It starts off as a solid, but as heat is applied, the butter seems to melt into a liquid, then fly off as a gas. However, notice at this point there is a new dark residue left in the pan. So, Dr. Matt, what gives? Was this process a physical or chemical change?
The answer is actually both. There is a physical change between the different states of matter. Initially, no new substance is formed as the butter softens. The butter merely goes through a phase transition, changing from one phase or state of matter to another. Here, the first phase is solid, where the molecules are held more tightly together. As heat is applied, the molecules in the butter gain more energy and start loosening up, becoming a more fluid and less interactive liquid. Finally, with enough heat energy, some molecules in the butter mixture essentially break free from the other molecules and move into the gas phase. And that's the physical part of the change. However, since butter is a mixture comprised of different types of molecules, water, and some hydrocarbons like fats and large organic molecules, you will begin to see a chemical change as well. As you continue to heat the butter, some of the smaller molecules will begin to transition into the gas phase, and the larger molecules break down and form a dark residue which is left in the bottom of the pan. The formation of that dark residue is a chemical change. So, melting butter, as you can see, can result in both a physical and a chemical change.
Okay, so now that the butter's melted, we're going to add all of this to our sauté pan. Can you smell that?
Yeah, changes in color, appearance, and smell are all signs of chemical changes.
Now we're going to add the chopped spinach. And we're going to cook it for about a minute until the spinach gets wilted.
Wilted spinach? Looks like another change to me. But is it physical or chemical?
See how the spinach appears darker in color and looks less firm? That means it's a chemical change.
Exactly.
Now that this is done sautéing, we'll set this aside. Next, we'll prepare the eggs for the Fiesta scrambled eggs.
Not just yet, Chef Paula. That's all the time we have for now. We now know more than we want to about the difference between a physical and a chemical change. But that's only one ingredient in the science that goes into preparing a meal. Be sure to join us for the next mouth-watering episode of The Science of Cooking.